What's up, everybody? It's Rahgel, the other half of Two Guys, One Gamepad, coming back at you with another episode of some more fun-filled Halloween. I was searching around the internet today and found another fun, kind of irritating list of top 25 Halloween movies to watch. Now, this is not my list. This is one that I got on, I think it was Google or whatever, your newsfeed. Whenever you pop up something, I always click on like, oh, top 25. Let's see what they got. So I went through the list, and I agree with some of them, and I disagree with a couple of them. 100% shouldn't be on the list. But nevertheless, let's go through this list, and I'll give you my opinions on it as we go through it. And please feel free to give your opinion on it. Let me know what you think. Should it be on there? Should it not be? I don't really know if this is going 25 to 1 or 1 to 25. But the way that I'm going, I think it's going 25 down to number 1. Be my guess. But let's see what we got. So at number 25, we'll call it. You know, it may go the other way, but we'll say number 25. We have The Craft. Now, this is a movie of witching, a covenant of girls that kind of come together, do their own thing. Not a bad movie. Definitely, I could see it on the list. Would probably not make my top 25 list, but definitely a movie that I've seen quite a few times. I know it may be one that sits more with teenagers, because it is revolved around teenage girls in high school and kind of the shit that they deal with, the bullying and like that. The way that it's done at the time, very well. Camera shots are very well done, and the acting in it is also very, very well done. But again, that would not be on my list, but number 25, okay, I mean, I'll accept it for what it is. You know, not every list is correct, but not every list is wrong either. So, okay, we'll move on to number 25 for The Craft. At number 24, Corpse Bride. I mean, yes, it's a Halloween movie. Yeah, I don't know really what to say about it. I think I've seen some. I don't even know if I've seen the whole thing. I'm not really into a whole lot of claymation style movies. Nightmare Before Christmas is one that I do enjoy, but not one I would probably even put on my list at all. When I think Halloween, I don't think of a lot of animated or claymation style movies. I look for more of the live action horror movies that, you know, that I grew up that would essentially try to scare the shit out of you. But nevertheless, Corpse Bride at number 24. You know, not a bad movie, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, never seen it all. 23, Hocus Pocus. A lot of people do not like this movie. Not sure why. I like it. It honestly would probably make my list only because of my kids, my family, and it's a movie that we watch every year. If it was to make the list, it would be number 25, if anything, or honorable mention, just because of the nostalgia factor of it, that we all watched it together. It's a fun one to do, fun one to watch, and it's entertaining and as it is, so it's one that I really, really like. It's fun. I know Sig is not a fan of it. I just don't think he likes Bette Midler. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, at number 23, Hocus Pocus. If I get these numbers wrong, I apologize, but I'm trying to just go through this and talk about it. But again, Hocus Pocus is number 23. Not a bad one, but I said it may make my list. It may be an honorable mention, but it would be talked about in my list of horror movies. And it's scary? No, it's not at all. It's just one of those, I don't want to use feel good, but whatever style family Halloween movies. Number 22, Sleepy Hollow. Another Johnny Depp movie that's now made it on here. Ichabod Crane style movie. They have this horseman. It has creepy moments, but not one that I guess I really look at as a horror movie. It is an iconic story that does always circulate around Halloween. I know they had the Disney film that was done as well. And that one is one that was always on TV growing up. You always saw the Ichabod Crane was riding on the back of his horse, you know, just kind of taking his time. And, you know, they had this horseman come around with his pumpkin on fire and try to chase him across the bridge, and essentially gets him at the end. But spoiler alert, if it ruined it for anybody, I mean, the movie's only like, I don't know how old. So, back in 1999. And also, this is the second Tim Burton movie, I think, because I think Corpse Bride is also a Tim Burton movie. The second Tim Burton movie that's made on this list, so I can only imagine who made this list. But Sleepy Hollow would not make my list. or honorable mention, really, even at all. So it's not a movie that I tend to rewatch or have watched in a very long time. So at number 22, Sleepy Hollow. 21, Blair Witch Project, again, 1999. This movie would more than likely make it on my list only because the way that this movie was done, a lot of people didn't know if it was real or if it was fake. It was shot on a very low budget film, camcorder style. There's the iconic one that you do make fun of where it's, the face right up in the camera saying she's so scared, and there's a lot of spoofs of it, and there's another one you see so scared and the gigantic snot bubble pops, making fun of the movie. But when it first came out, nobody really knew what was going on, how it was done, if it was real, if it was fake, if there was actual footage. The way it was shot was very well done. They did a great job of tricking the audience and making them believe it was essentially real. Obviously, down the road, it ended up being obviously it's not real, but fun to watch, entertaining. It probably would make my list just because this one helped bring in other movies like this, Paranormal Activity, other movies like this. But it was just one that was fun to watch, and the ending got me kind of like it just stopped. So number 20, I'll get it right. 21, Blair Witch Project, probably make my list. Number 20, House of a Thousand Corpses. A great movie done by Rob Zombie. This one would definitely be on my list. I love this movie. The way that they do the characters in this movie, how dark and morbid it gets, is amazing. Captain Spaulding in this one, great character, an iconic actor. Lost him a few years ago, but again, it's very, very dark, very, very morbid and brutal and gory. Great movie. Captain Spaulding has some good one-liners in it, and he's just very, very creepy. The way this movie is done, but I liked it. That would definitely make my list, and it may even be in my top 10. Possibly. I mean, would be in my top 15 for sure. Definitely in the 25, hands down. But at number 20, House of a Thousand Corpses, being back in 2003. Let's see, number 19, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a fun movie. It would make my list. I mean, I cannot put this on my list and have Hocus Pocus on my list. This is another one that I will watch with my kids, or even alone. Just the cast that they have in this one is great. I've enjoyed every remake except for the all-female cast that they had. I didn't care for that one. It was goofy. I watch it with my kids, stuff like that, but I don't enjoy that one. The new one they did, The Afterlife, and the way they're trying to reboot the whole franchise, I'm excited about that one. But the original Ghostbusters, made back in 1984, was great. Dan Aykroyd, the iconic Bill Murray, just in a few of them. It was great. I mean, obviously, I can't go without naming Harold Ramis. I mean, without Harold Ramis, you would not have Ghostbusters. So definitely one that would make my list. Comes in number 19 on this list. Very, very well done. Great movie. Iconic. It's one I always see somebody dressed up as a Ghostbuster, and just a very well done movie. At number 18, An American Werewolf in London. Now, they do have American Werewolf in Paris, but this is American Werewolf in London, 1981. Maybe one of the first werewolf movies I ever saw, and where you actually saw the werewolf change, or the human turn into the werewolf, and the morphing and contorting of the body as the bones break and turn into essentially the werewolf. You see the hands or the fingers kind of turn backwards and then angle again, and you hear the cracking of the bones, and he's screaming because his body's contorting and the hair's popping out everywhere. Another very well done movie. This is back in 1981, so they relied heavily on makeup, because there's no CGI back then. It was all makeup, and the ones that did the makeup back then, they were sought after, and man, they were just amazing at what they did. that's also why I love these movies, because of the makeup that was done and how they had to get into all that stuff. So number 18, American Werewolf in London. Great movie. You haven't seen it, check it out. And also, I will say the American Werewolf in Paris is also very well done. Same story. It's just set in Paris. Also has a great soundtrack in it as well. But number 18, American Werewolf in London, would make my list as well. Evil Dead. Now, if you listen to one of the last podcasts that I did by myself, I had Evil Dead in there, talked about it. Ash, played by Bruce Campbell. Very, very great movie. Would not say the best acting, because this is a very campy movie. Fun to watch. You go from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness. If you've seen the TV show Ash versus Evil Dead, very, very fun to watch. Bruce Campbell is a character in himself, and he makes fun of himself in his own way, even in his cameos that he has within Marvel movies, because it's, Evil Dead is a Marvel movie or Marvel comic book, but this would also make my list, if not a couple of them would make the list. But the original Evil Dead, 1981, great film, great one to watch. At number 17, I believe. So Evil Dead, number 17. Number 16, Nightmare Before Christmas. Again, another claymation Tim Burton movie, the third Tim Burton movie that's been on here. Claymation. Now, this one would probably make my list, because it is one that gets watched every year with my family, and we always have the argument every year of, is this a Christmas movie? Is this a Halloween movie? It's both. In my opinion, it's both. It falls under both. Feel free to argue it. I'll argue it back. It's based in Halloween Town. They go through everything trying to kidnap Santa Claus, but the whole premise is to have Christmas. So it's just a fun one to watch. Kids love it. I love it. Great soundtrack as well. But again, it's a claymation movie and would be bottom part of my list, not the top at all. I mean, maybe an honorable mention. So definitely a fun one to watch. I enjoy it. So yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm trying to get my list back on. So 25, 24, 23, 22, 1, 20, 19, 18, 17. So 16. Okay. Nightmare Before Christmas at 16. Number 15, The Shining. Now, this sits at the top 15. You start with The Shining. Jack Nicholson in a very iconic role. We've talked about this one before in our male-female heroines, some of the best. Shelley Duvall in this one. Great movie. Was one that didn't give me a whole lot as far as chills or jumps or creeped out. Just a movie that you can watch and enjoy and kind of just get creeped out a little bit. But it would make my list as well. A great movie, but it does lack something. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's because they couldn't take what they put in the book in the movie, which, well, whatever, I guess. But it's the movie. I have to go off of that. So number 15, The Shining. Great movie. If you have not seen it, check it out. This is a 1980. Made 1980. Very well done movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm sure a lot of people have. There's also a few people that haven't. But yeah, check it out. Number 15, The Shining. 14, Poltergeist. One movie that a lot of people have not seen. A lot of people don't know about, but this movie was made back in 1982. Again, a lot of these movies are back in the 80s so far. So like we have 3 Tim Burton movies and a lot of 1980 style movies that rely heavily on makeup. Now these movies, there's not a whole lot of makeup done, but there is a lot of possession, demonic style, back and forth sci-fi type stuff in this movie. I said before, I don't really enjoy a whole lot of the poltergeist or just ghost style stuff like that, possessions. But even though I've said I love Evil Dead, that's nothing but possessions. I think it's more or less how the movie is done. This one I do like. I think there's 3. There's quite a few of poltergeist, but the original was very creepy. if you have not seen it, there is an old man in this movie, and he just creeped the shit out of me. He wasn't even scary, like trying to be scary. He was just the way he looked and the way he talked. He looked like a walking skeleton. He's very tall and skinny, and just the way he acted, that is the Southern style drawl that he had as well. Very just creepy. And the way the movie was done with the little girl Carol Ann essentially gets sucked into the TV, it's just creepy in its own way. And this is one that I would probably put on my list. It would be in the 20s probably. Honorable mention maybe, but I think it would be on my list as well. But very well done. Definitely one, if you have not seen them, check them out. That's Poltergeist at number 14. So let's see, number 13. One movie that a lot of people do not understand why it's scary, but Nosferatu. This is the 1922 silent film. Now, take it for what it is. This is a film that was made in the 20s, so makeup, obviously, black and white film. No CGI, nothing. You have no lines, just strictly silent acting. Nothing. You have you do have a background noise a chorus or music, a score. Fuck. You do have a score going on, so there is some music going on that helps kind of elevate the scenes and everything else. I went and saw this movie at a low budget theater. They played it on, a projector, but they had a live band doing the music for it, and it went very well with it. They had obviously choreographed it and worked very well to try and make it work. But seeing this film in that way was great, and you really have to appreciate the art in this film and the way that it's done. Like I said, it is a silent film. Silent films can be tough to watch, but when you have essentially a gigantic orchestra or band trying to do the music for you live right there and go along with the movie, it gives you a different sense of enjoying and appreciating what you're watching. Nosferatu, a vampire in itself back in the 20s, starts the franchise a lot for vampires and just that creepy character. This film is going to be redone, if not already redone. I know there's some other redos, but this one's going to be redone again. I have very high expectations for this character because of how iconic he is. I hope they do him justice in what they do moving forward. And I would almost love for him to not have any speaking scenes at all. Just to, no reason for him to speak. Let him remain that silent character. That would probably give him more power within that movie than to give him actual talking scenes. So that's number 13, Nosferatu 1922. Number 11, right before we hit our top 10, Young Frankenstein. This one would not make my list. I don't consider it a horror movie. It's a campy comedy, just like with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, ones like that. This would not make my list. Not a horrible movie by any means. Mel Brooks is in this movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's comedic. It's got its slapstick comedy. This one's made back in 1974. So Mel Brooks at that time, very iconic in the comedy world. And you do see some other characters in this movie that go along with the comedy and make it fun to watch, but not a horror movie. It probably would never make my list, honorable mention, or anything like that. To be honest, I forgot about this movie. So yeah, number 11, Young Frankenstein. So now we get into our top 10. Top 10, in my opinion, are ones that you can either rewatch, that you will recommend, hands down. You'll fight for these movies. Then you will just pretty much go to war over your top 10s. Number 10, Dracula 1931. Very iconic, wouldn't be in my top 10. 1930s movie, just like Nosferatu 1922. This I don't think was a silent film. No, it was not a silent film. But this is the start of the horror movies, from Dracula to Frankenstein to Wolfman, Mummy, Monster from the Black Lagoon. A lot of those ones back in this time, back in the 30s, were creepy. I mean, this is something that was not done before, and they started doing these. So this was done back in the 30s, so you can just imagine how it was back then. No real makeup. This was just costume, slick back hair, and heavy eyeshadow, and maybe a little bit of blood, but you wouldn't see it because it's a black and white film. So again, 1930s. Dracula, number 10. Not a horror movie. Wouldn't probably make my list, just because it's not one that I would watch a lot. Number 9, Scream. Excuse me, the slasher movies. The return that they tried to make back in the 90s. Now, this is 1996. Drew Barrymore is the first death in these movies. You have Ghostface, who is essentially trying to just go through and cause havoc on teenagers' lives. This movie would probably make my list just because it's back when they tried to kickstart the whole slasher genre again. After Jason, Michael Myers, Freddy, all that kind of start to kind of slow down. This one tried to pick it back up, and it's a run for since 1996 until now. They're even releasing more Screams to this day. They have a TV show that they did as well. I believe it's Scream 8 that comes out this year or maybe next year. 7 just came out. If I got my numbers wrong, I apologize. But this would make my list, and it may even break my top 10. This movie, it's fun also because you're trying to figure out who the killer is. There's different stuff going on, so you're trying to solve almost a mystery in it as well, and trying to figure out who's going to die next. Why are they killing them? Who's the killer? How is this person the killer? How's this person not the killer? It's just a fun movie to watch. But yeah, check it out if you have not seen it. If you haven't, why haven't you? But number 9, Scream, 1996. Number 8, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. Listened to the podcast before. I covered Jason. He's in one of my top villains, antagonists of all time. I really, really enjoy these movies. They're fun, slasher style. You have the antagonist chasing the person, and I say chasing, I use air quotes because they're just walking behind them, and whoever they're chasing cannot stay on their own 2 damn feet. They're running, screaming, falling over themselves in the woods, can't go anywhere, get to a cabin, shut the door. Next thing you know, there's a gigantic machete coming through the door, through their chest, and they're dead. But this first one was made back in 1980. Funny thing is about these movies back in 1980, the first one to come out, Jason was not the murderer. Jason was not the killer. It was his mom. So a lot of people don't know that, but Jason Voorhees was not the killer in the first one. It was his mom, because what had happened to her son, he was bullied and drowned at Camp Crystal Lake. So she was the antagonist in that one, and then Jason took on after that throughout the rest of the movies. But fun ones to watch. The acting is 80s style acting, so it does get very bad, to say the least. Just to be blunt about it, some of it's very bad, but it's the 80s. It is what it is. You're going to see it as that. So yeah, Friday 13th, 1980s at number 8. Number 7, Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, and Friday 13th would make my list, hands down. Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, that's, to be honest, this is probably top 5 for me, if not top 3. Freddy Krueger is one of my favorite characters of all time. I think the best slasher. I think he won in Jason versus Freddy. A lot of people argue he didn't, because, he got his head chopped off. But the way these movies are done, the campiness of these movies, the way Robert Englund portrayed Freddy in the movies was great. The acting in it, it is what it is. The first one came out in 1984. So back then, and even in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, you see Freddy for, I think, less than maybe 10 seconds, if I remember correctly. But also you get the introduction of Johnny Depp in this movie. The 21-year-old actor Johnny Depp makes his debut in A Nightmare on Elm Street and dies. So if you haven't seen the original one to kind of see how it is, check it out and just watch the acting in it of Johnny Depp. See how much they actually show Freddy and how well the actors have to act as if they're being chased by this person that you don't really see a whole lot. And it makes you think of how they do movies nowadays where they hardly ever show the antagonist, and it drives me crazy. But watching that one in 1984, the acting they had to do was, for the 80s, very well done. Watching it now, not so much. But at number 7, Nightmare on Elm Street would make my list. Like I said, probably top 5, top 3, arguably within top 5. Probably same with Friday the 13th. Number 6, Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Black and white film as well. They chose to go black and white with this one. And this one was tough because the actors had to portray zombies, and it was something new, and so they had to get down the zombie walk and everything else. And fun movie to watch. Can be rough at times because it is black and white, so you lose a lot of the gore effect to it because you're not seeing the blood as much. You are seeing a liquid of some kind, but it is black and white, so you're not seeing it as that. But it's a fun movie. I don't know if it would make my list, to be honest. I enjoy it, but I would say it may make honorable mention. But I think there's better zombie movies that are out there. But for being the original, the first, I can see why it made this list. It is a horror movie. Should be on a list anywhere. May make mine, may not. But I do enjoy it, and I do take it for what it is as a great starter in the zombie genre of movies. So number 6, Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Number 5. Here we go. Let's see what this list has for us at number 5. These are your diehards. These are the ones that you're, like I said, your 10s you're going to fight for. 5 and up, you're going to, you're willing to just go to war, battle over no matter what. You're not going to change your mind. Number 5, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I have no idea what that is. Never seen it, never even heard of it. If some of you are listening and call me an idiot because I have no idea what it is, no idea. Another 1920s. Assuming going to be another silent film, but it almost looks as if, I'm looking at a picture of it right now, it almost looks like similar to Nosferatu, but I'll have to look at this movie and see what it is, if it's worth, anything. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know who the antagonist is. If Dr. Caligari, it looks like almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde style movie. Or if it's about a girl, I don't know, but I'll look into it, and that's at number 5. Again, never seen it, not sure. Number 4, it's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. This would not be on my list. One that I've watched growing up a lot. Maybe it would get honorable mention. I would say maybe honorable mention, just because we watched it growing up all the time. I mean, this was made back in 1966, so was watched a lot, enjoyed a lot. Would always come on. You're sitting at home and you're waiting on the Halloween shows to come on. This is one that would come on all the time, and definitely enjoyable. A seasonal one that would come on, and it may be honorable mention or would fall into the nostalgia seasonal one that you watch every year, like Hocus Pocus would be, or Nightmare Before Christmas would be for us as well. But number 4, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, 1966. Number 3, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tim Curry, iconic actor. This movie's back in 1975. Pretty much he portrays a drag queen within this show they put on, and it's how did you say, controversial at the time? Maybe, I don't know, but it's not one that I would have on my list. I don't really consider it a horror movie either, so obviously wouldn't make it for that reasons. I've seen the movie a few times. I don't know much about it to really talk too much about it or say that I really enjoyed it, because I haven't seen it since, I think I watched it it was probably the mid-90s maybe, but again, I don't know, I've seen the whole thing. A lot of people like this movie, and I've seen it on a lot of lists. Would not make mine, but I don't know who made this list, and they seem like they're kind of scared to make it a scary list, maybe, I don't know. But number 3, Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975. Number 2, Frankenstein. Okay. I mean, Frankenstein has been around for a long time. 1931 was the original, and this is the one that you see a lot of. Has clips of him, and it's always been him talking to the little girl by the water. She's taking, I think they're daisies or some type of flower, and tossing them into the water and watching the flower float away. Frankenstein comes down, sits, kneels next to her as he towers over her since he's a gigantic monster, and is seeing her do this. What's he do? He picks her up and throws her into the water. She obviously does not float. So she's struggling to do anything. She ends up dying, and this obviously upsets the entire town that they go after the monster. But if a lot of people don't know that Frankenstein is a creator, and it's always Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein is not the actual monster, it's the creator, but he's always referred to as Frankenstein. It is Frankenstein's monster, and a lot of people do not know that, and some people get upset and frustrated and like, no, it's not him. Frankenstein is the creator. The monster is what is going around killing everybody. Frankenstein's the creator. But it is what it is. Number 2, Frankenstein, 1931. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Like I said, a lot of these movies are worth watching, just not ranked. This one would not make my list. Not even an honorable mention. It is a good one to watch, but like I said, would not make mine. Number 1, The Exorcist. I think I got my numbers wrong. I think Frankenstein was number 3, so I got mixed up somewhere. Number 2, The Exorcist. This movie, again, like I said, I don't like possession movies, but this one also got me. So I'm kind of using my own words by saying I don't like possession movies when I have a few that I would probably have on my list, and this one is one made back in 1973. It's a controversial movie because it's a possession of a younger girl who does some not so good things to herself in the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. And then they also re-released the movie in 2000. No, in the 90s, I believe. They added some scenes to it of her walking backwards downstairs in like a spider style, like contorting her back and walking downstairs, and very, very creepy. It had the creepiness factor to it. The makeup in this movie is amazing. The way that they portray this demon inside this little girl is great. This movie has even been spoofed numerous times, but it's fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Would make my list. Maybe not top 10, but would be in there somewhere. A little higher, but not top 10. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Exorcist 1973, number 2. Apparently they're number 1 now that I've got them all figured out. Halloween, Michael Myers. Now, like I said in my before, Jamie Lee Curtis is the scream queen when it comes to the male-female heroines in horror movies. She's a badass. She fights this William Shatner mask-wielding character. Not one that I really enjoyed. A lot of people like him more than Jason, more than Freddy. I don't know why, but I guess I enjoy more of the gore side of it. You seeing Jason has a very distorted face after you see it. More graphic, I guess. I don't know. I guess Halloween would be on my list, but obviously not number 1. Maybe top 10, but behind Freddy and Jason. But the list was not bad. At some points I do kind of disagree with it, but it is what it is. That's the fun thing about a lot of these lists is they're all up for interpretation of who thinks what, where you think they fall. But go through the list that I've thrown on here. Let me know what you think. Disagree. Again, you want to argue with me? You want to fight about it? Come on an episode. We'll fight about it. We'll talk about it. But either way, you will get to voice your opinion as well. We're not going to shut you down. So let us know what you think. Reach out to us, myself or Sig. Yeah, definitely not a bad list. A lot of them that wouldn't be on my list, but again, it is what it is. Yeah, check us out. Every Thursdays we play Warzone, myself, Sig, and another gamer, Lance. Check out our merch store and let us know what you think. Till then, bye, bitch.